Welcome back to another fashion show. Firewood content video. Everybody recommends wearing chaps and all of this weird stuff for cutting firewood. Me, I just find old clothes out of my closet that don't fit anymore and go with that. So, we're going to be doing some more wood splitting today out of my piles. You can see behind me here, probably. And I do want to mention that I fixed up my wood maul a little bit. Let me see if I can show you here. You can see how much higher that is now. There's two wedges in here, but I drove them down there with a tap really far. They're driven down. I put a steel tap in there and drove that down, way down in there, and pounded it down. I'm not even going to worry about trimming that excess off. I'm just going with it. If you'll notice, one of those pieces in my hand is the wedge where somebody made their undercut and took the wedge out of the tree. I have like 3 or 4 or 5 of those pieces, and I'm just going to burn them like that, like it's a piece of firewood. 1 or 2 of them is actually pretty big size, but I think it's just big enough to fit in the fireplace. So I'm going to treat it just like a piece of firewood because, you can't really split it very easily anyway. But everything else is going to be chainsawed. All those stacks, I'm going to work through them, and you can see there's just kind of some odds and ends laying around, a few little poles of wood. All that random stuff is going to get chainsawed. I'm going to work through it until I get down, and then one day I'll break out the chainsaw and use it on all the other stuff. Oh, piece of wood landed on my maul. This wood here, I'm not entirely sure what kind it is. It might be maple, but it is surprisingly tough to split. I want to go ahead and get through it. I thought it looked like great stuff and easy, manageable stuff to split, but it is really stringy stuff, and it's been probably sitting in the wood yard in round form for a long time, and it may have been cut dead standing. It looks like the kind of wood that's dead standing, and if you cut a lot of firewood, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you get it and it's just kind of stringy and dry and it's tough to split. But I was hoping it would be easy, and it's really been tough to get through these rounds. So I'm going to finish off, I think, most of the rest of that type of wood, whatever it is, because I got it all from the same area. But yeah, a few of these pieces are challenging coming up, and I think it's dry enough to burn this year, so I'll just go ahead and throw it on top of the pile and give it a few more months of drying out now that it's split. But I can tell it's bone dry, it's ready to go. Just not splitting good. Let's just go ahead and start addressing this issue. This maul handle is not doing well at all. I showed in the previous videos that I added some wedges in it, and I keep pounding it down with a sledgehammer, and I've done some work that I haven't shown on camera or whatever. But these wooden handles, I have a hard time getting them to last very long. I mean, especially if you split as much wood as I do. But I spend several hours a week just bashing up wood with this thing. And what I think is happening with this handle, and here's the thing, I didn't put a wood wedge in that, the wooden wedge that comes with it, and then also the metal wedges. I just used the metal wedges, but I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, I feel kind of bad for showing that and not doing it and going the full 9 yards with it, but we'll do a test in the future. When this handle breaks, I'll put a wooden wedge in one and metal wedges, and then go out and bash that one up for several hours a week for a couple months and see how it does. But I don't think it's going to make any difference. So, I mean, I can feel bad that I didn't do, all of the crazy stuff that you can do to try to mount the axe head properly. But I can tell you, I don't think it's going to make a difference, because what's happening is when I get stuck in wood and you kind of slam your hand down it like I'm doing right now, when you start slamming it and jarring that axe handle like that real hard, it pinches in the bottom of the axe head. And I can show this closer up if you can't visualize what I'm saying, but it starts to pinch the wood, and then it makes the axe handle thinner because it just keeps pinching it and pinching it and pinching it, and then it starts wiggling and getting loose. And once it gets loose, you got a problem. I mean, once it gets loose and it's jiggling around, and that handle's going to break. If I would have kept going today, it would have broke today, and it probably would have broke when I was stuck in wood and I just slammed down on it and tried to get unstuck. It would have probably just broke off at the axe head. So that's probably how this thing's going to go. And off camera today, I didn't record it all, but it was so loose, I got in there and I trimmed the top off, and I grabbed the metal wedges with needle nose pliers and wiggled them out, and then I put the wood wedge in it with some glue, and then I added back in the metal wedges, and I got it all pounded down over the area that it's kind of, like I said, it's pinched and it's made it thinner, so it's wiggling. I pounded it down with a hammer and got it real tight on the bottom and everything, and I added the wooden wedge with glue. So I'm going to try it and see how long I can get out of it. Hopefully I get several more months out of it, but it just keeps getting loose. I mean, once they start to go, they go fast. So don't be surprised if that axe handle, Maul, I mean, it's Maul, whatever, but don't be surprised if that sledgehammer handle breaks pretty soon. I tried one last time, and at this point, I'm just going to use it until it breaks, and then I'll use fiberglass. And the more I use wood handles, the more I'm a fan of fiberglass. If you're going to buy an axe, I basically go to the hardware store and buy an axe. I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on them or whatever. And the thing is you can get many varieties of axes in the $30 to $40 range. I mean, if you spent $70 or $80, you're spending a lot of money on an axe, in my opinion. But there's plenty of them that you can go buy for about $40. And those sledgehammer handles, a hickory 36-inch sledge handle is about $30. So I might buy one more handle and just do a test and put a wood wedge in it and glue it and some metal wedges, and then go out and bash it up for several hours a week. But I don't think it's going to make a difference, because they get bashed up and jarred so hard that it starts to pinch that wood inside the handle, and they get loose and break. And a wooden wedge is just more wood. It's gonna do the same thing. I'm not convinced. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. And I'm just holding out to see how long this thing goes. Gonna break my handle. Gosh darn it. Well, if y'all want to see a handle break, it's getting ready to happen. This wood is dry. All kinds of things breaking. Guys, my tripod leg just took another direct hit, and I had to take it inside and put some splints on it made out of coat hangers. It was the quickest thing I had to provide some support. I don't know what else I could use, some dowel rods or something with duct tape. This isn't gonna work. Okay, I just went and got my other wood maul, which is identical to this wood maul, but that leads me to another point, and I don't know why I can't get that handle in that other maul to stay solid. And my point is that sometimes the hole in the maul is not perfect, and you can have defects, and there could be a problem with that head on that. I was looking at used axes last night, and a couple of them were just absolutely smashed up. They were actually like splitting axes. They weren't mauls, so they were like long and flat, but it looked like somebody was driving in metal fence posts or something, just pounding on the driver side, the hammer side of the axe, not the blade side. And it was completely smashed in, and you could just tell somebody has been pounding on something with it, using it as a sledgehammer. Well, if I saw an axe like that, I basically wouldn't buy it, because if you know how metal moves, and I worked with metal for a long time, for like 16 years before I'm doing what I'm doing now, but if you can visualize an axe as that hammer end gets smashed in back, it compresses the axe, in the middle of it bows outwards, which is, you know, the thin part, there's the hole in the middle, and then the two thin sides that go around the hole, those will start bowing out as that axe gets compressed and smashed. So that enlarges the hole and makes the hole go off center and out of diameter, and then you can't mount your handle properly. The further the handle gets away from that edge, you can't mount it and get a wedge in there and get it to be solid. You need contact with the wood throughout the entire axe head from top to bottom, and it needs to be solid as much as possible. If you get wiggle room in there and it starts wiggling, it's over. I mean, once it starts wiggling and moving around, it's broken. You can guarantee it's going to go fast. So there may be a problem with that other maul head that I'm using. I don't know. It looks good to me, but it's hard to tell. There's a lot of leverage on a 36-inch handle, and you're moving it around inside that hole, and that metal could start to bend a little bit and get out of perfect shape. So like I said, once it starts to get out of round and you lose contact with your handle against metal, it's going to start wiggling, and from there on it's going to go fast. I mean, if you got a loose axe head, it's going to break really fast. So that's another good thing to consider if you're buying an axe, especially a used axe. Make sure it's not absolutely smashed, and hopefully it has a handle on it at least, and you can see how it's mounted. But even then, it's kind of hard to tell. we're stuck. We're done. This thing is bone dry, stringy. I think this is gonna burn. Yep. Burn. I'm gonna do an easy one. like that thing. Here, 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 double knot. Here, here, there. There we go. Oh yeah. see if we can meet halfway. Oh yeah. This stringy stuff is bone dry. I'm gonna burn that this year. Let's do one more piece of maple. So this is upside down, but I'm going to try to go to the right of that and just shave this piece off right here, or the left. Doesn't really go that far. You can see a little bit. Just want to add a little side note here. I'm about to get some walnut firewood. You can see that branch right in the middle of the screen. Right there. That broke off and is hanging, about to fall in my backyard. But that's okay because it's gonna cause half as many walnuts to fall in my yard. That branch on the right that's sticking out is also, that one over there dropped some walnuts. So that'll be a little bit of firewood. Interesting. Alright guys, I'm going to look at some of this wood with my measuring stick here. These are going to be selling for $399.95 on my website. If you want one, just hit me up in the comments. But most of this wood is a little bit off. You can see, I mean, that's a little, but that doesn't bother me. This stuff will burn. This thing works with your chainsaw. I mean, you can hold it and cut wood with it at the same time. But I mean, they're all a little bit long. Some of them are a little short. And I don't have any complaints. I mean, this is firewood. It fits in my fireplace. They're a little bit off. Yeah. That one's almost perfect. Close. This red oak is way off. That's 20 inches. Yeah. But this works for me, guys. That stuff will fit in the stove. It'll burn. Time to get stacking.
Watch the gills go by you. Plastic castle in the distance. Mirrors of glass surround you. Bubbles. Oh, what a lovely sensation. Object submerges in the water. Clueless, you go to observe it. Warned by its presence, you are scooped out of that fishbowl. Surround you, fear runs through your fins. Suddenly a burst of light